श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादं शङ्करं लोकशङ्करं शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेदविभागिने व्योमवद्व्याप्तदेहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्ति। This particular book doesn't move away from the topic, the vastu. Therefore, in different ways, the same thing is highlighted. And he gets into one particular line of thinking and to show the vastu, and he doesn't move away from that line of thinking for a length of time, and that is so many verses, same thing. Then afterwards he picks up another point of view, and then but all the time, and then discusses in a few verses, and all the time vastu. So that is why it's a very interesting book for contemplation. So it's a book itself is contemplative book. By karma, by action, we can produce results if everything goes well. Because there are many variables we cannot control, known and unknown. Therefore, you cannot always achieve what you want to achieve. You may plan and you may do, but the result is anybody's guess. So, people are always be committed to make things happen. We are all interested in making things happen. So when you are committed to make things happen, you need to do something. People in the world of spirituality also expect certain things to be done. So mere knowledge doesn't seem to be adequate for them. That's why they say it's intellectual. And we want, even though it is not true, because here the problem is not of anything to be produced, and is not something to be produced, and not yet produced. Therefore, this karma phala is analyzed in this way. Apyam. He is looking into this. By karma, you can reach. Already he has proved there is nothing to reach. Karya is kāraṇaṃ. Jiva is Brahman. Therefore, there is nothing to reach karma phala. Apyam. Brahman is not apyam. to be reached. You are away from it by distance and time, and you have to reach it. That kind of opium. Now from here you want to go to Stroudsburg, Allentown. So you have to reach any place because you are not there now. You are not in Allentown and you have to go to Allentown. It is existing. Therefore Brahman exists but we have to reach. I am away from Brahman. A lot of people think like that. So I have to reach. And for which some kind of action. But Brahman is everything. So what is there is only Brahman. There is no question of reaching. You are Brahman. And therefore reaching is not involved. Vikaryam, another result of karma. You modify something, change something. Means one form it is there and you change it into another form. Now it is in the form of dukkha, pain, limited, and you change it into limitless. You can never change the limited to limitless, one thing, and the limitless, you cannot change it also. The limitless doesn't require change, already it is limitless, therefore you cannot become more than limitless, and that's all you can be and you are that. And therefore, na vikaryam, no modification involved in gaining this Brahman. Then there is one, samskaryam. Apyam, vikaryam, samskaryam, utpadyam. There is one utpadya. You generate what is not there now, you generate, you create. Not you modify what is there, it is to create, utpadyam. Brahman you have to create, like you sow the seeds and produce a crop. And similarly, Brahman is to be hatched. And therefore you have to lay the egg of Brahman. That is what they call. So the Guru lays the egg of Brahman in your head. Therefore, it's called, you have to, then afterwards, you sit upon it and hatch it. And therefore he lays the egg in your head. Because these kind of double things are there. Therefore, straight away egg doesn't hatch. So it has to go through this process. The egg is hatched, egg is laid in the mind of the student, and the student has to sit upon it because of the white heat of meditation. And the egg hatches, and then the chick of Brahman comes out. This is called utpadyam. And Brahman is not utpadyam. It cannot be produced, it is not produced. Whatever is produced is mithya, which is also Brahman we have seen. There is only one thing left out. And samskaryam. Already Brahman is free from samsara. It is free from dukkha, sukha, karma, punya, papa. It is shuddha. It is nitya shuddha. Even though it is always eternally shuddham, it is pure. Nothing sticks to Brahman. It is always pure. But then, due to our ignorance and our problems, we have made it ashuddha. The Jainism is like this. It has become ashuddha. The Jains think like that. So the Atma has become ashuddha. Ashuddha means it is impure, sullied, because of bad association. And the mind is thinking all wrong things. And it is associated with this body. It has got disease and all limitations. Because of this, the Atma also is affected. Even though original Atma is Nitya-Shuddha, but still it is affected. Like a copper vessel. This copper vessel, always because of oxidization, whatever, it becomes dark, very black. And then what do? It is, you take it for a tin vessel. It is not at one place. Some you see copper. One corner somewhere you see copper. Oh, it is copper. So like this, so since you know this copper, but it won't shine like copper. You have to clean it. Simple water won't bring back the original shine. And you have to use some other chemical or whatever you have to do and to bring the original shine back. Copper. And so too, Atma, you have to rub it. And you have to rub this Atma in a particular way and make this Atma shine in its original glory. This seems to be very good. Lot of Swamis talk like that also. Yeah, all these are taught. So Atma is to be cleansed of all the impurities affecting the Atma. Problem is, if Atma is affected because of our neglect, we never cared about it all these days, it has gathered, it's like an uncared garden. So, you never knew there was a garden. And ill-kept. Similarly, this Atma was ill-kept. So it has gathered lot of things and lot of creepy things also. And therefore, if that is so, you clean the whole thing, cleaning project. And so this is called Atma cleaning project. And you clean this Atma, and by whatever, sort of by love of God and service, and by all this is slowly, this is the water, love of water. The water of love. With that you spray the Atma. And then this Atma gets little better. And then also rub the Atma and bring in some heat, the sunlight you bring, and by the heat of meditation. And then in that heat also it gets dry and clean. Okay, you do that. Then what happens? What happens means, after a few days again it will become unclean. Therefore you will have to say, Swamiji, I was for 25 days moksha. It's like tennis players, So tennis player is on the top. For 27 days I was at the top. Then afterwards I lost one game, the other fellow won the game and he came down. So this is how, they say that so many weeks I was on the top. So many weeks, so many days. Similarly, this Atma also was pure and you had moksha for 25 days and then again what? And you have to again clean. Because what is subject to become unclean has to be always cleaned. Like your car, like your laundry, like your clothes. So what becomes unclean will always become unclean. And therefore you have to again clean it. Even if you have all these clothes just ironed and all kept in the place, so where you keep these clothes, and then afterwards then you put these mothballs and you take them out after 6 months and they smell not dog, they smell moth. Then again you have to, it has gathered new vasana. And therefore you have to again put it, you have to launder again. You have to, that's how it is. Therefore, even if you use it, it has to be laundered. And if it is not used also, you have to launder. You have to keep using and launder. Therefore, the Atma project continues. Therefore, so now and then you get moksha, and then afterwards again ashuddha. So this is the situation. Na samskaryam. Moksha is not karma palam. No, it is not the result of a cleaning process. Atma nitya shuddha. Sada shuddha. But if Atma is nitya shuddha, means it is always pure, it doesn't take anything onto itself. But then how come I always feel impure? I feel always impure. How come I am subject to dukkha? Impure means dukkha. Don't think impure means a kind of a feeling. That's another problem. That's compulsive, that behavior syndrome. And what they do, they go on washing their hands until the dermis comes off. And then they go on wash their hands and then again come and then wash their hands. And they touch something and then wash their hands. And sandeham. Did I wash my hands properly and therefore wash the hands? The whole day, we call it as water. Water goes to as caught. Tanni pishacha. Water goes to as caught. In Tamil Nadu they will say, so tanni pishacha puturtu. Because it has been always there, compulsive behavior. Again and again wash, whole day wash. That's a problem, psychological problem. And so this kind of Atma, and you have to clean all the time. If it is nitya shuddha. But people keep on cleaning, why? What is to be cleaned is to be cleaned. And what doesn't require to be cleaned. And to be cleaned is always nitya shuddha. But how come that I feel that I am subject to dukkha, subject to this, subject to that? That's because ajnanat. That is why the problem is one of not knowing. I am nitya shuddha. That alone is the problem here. And therefore that we have to take care of. Don't try to remove ashuddhi. Don't try to remove impurities. But what is to be removed is your ignorance that I am nitya shuddha. That is to be addressed. And without addressing that, you think that I am impure and I have to become pure. Now I am dukhi, therefore I have to become sukhi. This is what we are doing. All the time we are doing that. And therefore he says, Sadaivatma vishuddhosti Yashuddho bhati vai sada yathaiva dvividha rajju jnanino nisham. Atma sada eva vishuddha asti. Vishuddha. It is not simple shuddha. It can never take any impurity because there is no real connection between the Jagat, Dvaitatmaka Jagat and Atma. There is no real connection. What is the connection between a pot and the clay? What is the connection? Can the clay complain, this Atma, I am affected. Why? because the pot is sitting upon me. And the pot is cracked. And therefore, clay says, I am cracked. You know. Huh? There is no such thing. I am clay. Cracked or not cracked, clay is clay. And therefore, so there is no connection between clay and pot, because pot is clay. If pot is clay, clay also must be pot. That is not true. Therefore, between Satyam and what is Mithya, there is no real connection for one affecting the other. If one has to affect the other, Mithya has to affect the other Satyam, then it is not Mithya, it is true Satyam. Therefore, if one is Mithya and Mithya is Satyam, and therefore Satyam is not, from the drishti, from the standpoint of Satyam, there is no Mithya to affect the Satyam. Therefore, this Atma, Nitya Shuddha. It is Shuddha Chaitanya. It has no height, it has no width, it has no form. It is limitless consciousness, time-wise, space-wise, limitless consciousness. This is what I say, the real crucifixion. A jiva is limited by time and space. Space can be referred by a horizontal line and time vertical. And therefore, so the time-wise, space-wise. So I am bound, and that is the person. And therefore, if you crucify this jiva, it is a painless crucifixion. And crucified where? In terms of time and space. You crucify on the cross of time and space, and then there is a resurrected jiva. The resurrected jiva is Christ, and before he became Christ, he was only Jesus, jiva, the enlightened jiva, and who is out of this time and space. I am bound, I am limited, that notion is gone. The crucifixion is by knowledge, and thereby he is limitless, I am free. That is why, that is the resurrection. And therefore you come out differently. I am free. Even though this body is crucified, I am free. The ahankara is free. And therefore, whereas this particular body is limited by time and space, we don't, in fact that is the glory. And suppose you are limitless, you can't get up, you can't do anything, you can't even talk, you can't hear, because you are limitless consciousness. It is what was useless. It is limitless consciousness is useless, I tell you. But if you know that I am limitless consciousness, you are so free, you can have a limited body, correct? Huh? An actor, so rich that fellow, and he is so free that he can play the role of a beggar, and he begs like he alone can beg, and no real life beggar can beg like him. So in the drama, he is a beggar, and he comes and begs, and he has got background music to support, and all these beggars he studies, and then pick up the nuances of every beggar. Every beggar has got something to contribute to the art of beggary. And you take from each one the best thing that he has got. And therefore, so somebody is very good in looks, and so there are different fellows, different things. And you pick up from every one of them everything, then you are a great beggar. And he's so free to beg, correct? He's so free to beg, he's so free to cry, he's so free to cringe, he is so free to be meek, and then all that we can do. And knowing all the time I am different from all this. That is the glory. Otherwise, mere Satchidananda, who cares? There is nobody else to care. The fun is only when you know and play roles. That's fun. That's where you have to enjoy the fruits of this knowledge. And therefore, so aham nitya shuddhaha. Then sada nitya shuddhaha is not that previously I was ashuddha, now became shuddha. If that is so, you will again become ashuddha. What goes wrong will go wrong. What can go wrong will go wrong. And therefore what can go, can suffer the sense of bondage, will again suffer. That is why these Aurobindos, this thinking of the ascending and descending, the Brahman, the limitless, descended to become Jiva, and then it has to ascend to become Brahman. And one Jiva becomes Brahman, everybody else becomes Brahman, because Brahman is one. Some philosophy. I said, it is like a fellow who has got Hiranya. Hiranya? Hiranya. So I thought that our Hiranyakashipu. Hiranya. And the descending caller always it also is interested in tourism and wants to see beyond this what is there. It wants to see beyond this what is there and goes up. And afterwards doesn't know how to come back. And so this is the problem. And then suppose it goes back and it won't keep quiet, again it will go. And therefore it is the same thing, that the ascending Atma struggles hard to ascend, then again it comes back, and again ascend, and it comes back. So what could descend one time will always descend another time. Correct? It will always descend another time. This is very simple logic. And how such a big book, Divine Life, is written, and then Life Divine or whatever, and people read. Go on. Some concept, apne aap. Some glory somewhere and then that glory is extended here. He was a good writer. He studied in England and all that, was a very, very good writer. And because of that, he got a good name, and he had written a book criticizing modern poetry, a critic of modern poetry. Not criticism, a critic, analysis of modern poetry. That book was very well received and appreciated. So he got a name, and he was also a freedom fighter. And therefore from the British area in England, in India, and there was this French territory, that is Pondicherry, a small French territory was there. And he went to the French territory, they could not arrest him. And he lived there all through. A fugitive. He lived there, and then he became he was very, very interested in this, the pursuit, spiritual pursuit, and also about the country, culture, religion and all that. He had contributed a lot. But that But he didn't have a teacher. On his own he tried to explore. He studied Sanskrit and then he was into linguistics. And therefore he began translating and then whatever he has understood, he presented. In this, the Brahman descended to become a Jiva and he has to ascend to Brahman. Then again it will descend. Once it can descend. Therefore the teaching is, you are Nitya Shuddhaha. But how come that I don't understand that? That's the only thing. How come you don't understand? Means I don't understand. That's it. There is no other reason. Therefore you become Ashuddhaha. And once you do not know I, then the I becomes other than Shuddha. If I am not Shuddha, if I don't understand I am Shuddha means all purity and limitless consciousness. If I do not understand, and naturally I become subject other than Nitya Shuddha. Therefore Nitya Shuddha Hamasmi. Yeah? If you commit a mistake against the limitless, what will you be? Limited. There is no mistake is not going to bless you. Sometimes mistake blesses you. So mistake sometimes blesses you. Yeah, and there was a shining glass bead. And you picked up the glass bead, it's very nice and you kept it. And then one of your friends who is a gemologist. Gemologist?
Yes.
Yeah. And that fellow, he saw this, hey, when did you get this emerald? What? Emerald? Hey, this is emerald. This is emerald, such a big emerald, how did you get it? Then he will keep quiet. When did you get it and all that, he will tell. So what this is emerald? I mean, this emerald, what will it, what is it? What would you, how will you value this? How much? Oh my God, this may be $80,000. It's $80,000? Yes, it can be $80,000. I'm ready to buy. No, I'm not interested in selling. This fellow completely changed. Now he can't sleep. So this is a mistake. Oh, he committed a mistake. He thought it was a glass bead. Now it is a blessing. Correct? Blessing in disguise. Many a time you commit a mistake and the mistake is profitable. You committed a mistake. And you wanted to bid for a lot of a plot property. And then you committed a mistake and then you got some other property. And you were lamenting yourself, I didn't get the right property and I got this property and then I should have got that property, why I did this and all that lamenting. And your wife is also pointing out, you always do that. And so this makes it worse. And she was not supporting. And so he was getting worse and all that. And suddenly what happened? McDonald wanted to put its this thing, wanted to have its restaurant or chain, drive-through. Now the fellow is wonderful. How much will he give? So now, because this fellow wanted, and then everybody wants, then McDonald's once goes there, and then this other fellow will come, the Burger King, and he will come. He also wants to have, you please give. Yeah, because wherever McDonald's goes, Burger King goes. And because the research is to be done by McDonald's and Burger King always goes behind. Yeah. That's how it is. That's how it is. So he also wants. Now he tells his wife, see, what happened? Didn't I tell you, I told you, please retain it. I told you. Because she told once, now that you bought, you please retain it. We'll see. So didn't I tell you retain it? So. Blessing in disguise. Mistake becomes a blessing. Atma nitya shuddha. You committed a mistake. So if you commit a mistake against the limitless, always pure, etc., you cannot have a blessing in disguise. Always it is nitya nashta. Mahati vinashti. Iha ched avedi ata satyam asti. Otherwise, mahati vinashti. Upanishad. If one were to know, there is truth. And if one doesn't know, the loss is limitless. There is no blessing in disguise. Because you are committing a mistake against the limitless, and you say purity, you say auspiciousness, you say ananda, fullness, limitlessness, all one and the same. Mahati vanashti. Limitless is the loss. It is only because of ajnanat. Therefore he says, sada vishuddhaha san, sada ashuddhaha abhati, bhati. Sada vai ashuddhaha bhati. How? Ashuddhaha bhati always shines as impure, means always obtains as impure. Why? Because yathaiva, he says, rajjuhu dvividha. What is there is one rope, and it is held in two different ways. By one it is rope, by other it is snake. Rajjuhu bhati, dvividha bhati. One rope appears in two different ways. How come I see I am Atma is Ashuddha? It is exactly like one Rajju appears to two different people, two different things. For a jnani, the one who knows the rope as rope, one who looks at the rope as rope, he doesn't commit any mistake. There is no error in his perception. And that person, for him it is only rope. Jnaninaha rope. Ajnaninaha, for the one who is ajnani, ignorant of what is, it can be anything. It can be water hose, another harmless thing. If it is water hose, if it is snake, it's a problem. But what is there is snake because of this Vedantic orientation. And because, so rope is always mistaken for snake. And this fellow has listened to this so many times in the classes. And then he goes to the garden in Coimbatore ashram. And then there is a snake there, and he takes it for rope. It should be rope where we are all Vedantins, we should take it as rope. Vedantin means you have to see what is. So always you have to see the mistake. And therefore rope should be rope. If he takes it as snake, it's more dangerous. It's more dangerous than rope is taken for snake. Rope is taken for snake, you freeze. You freeze. But that snake cannot get you. Therefore you are safe still. And so, but whereas the snake was taken for rope, and especially when you are looking for a rope, and therefore it's a problem. And so he says, Dvividha rajjuhu bhati. It's not an issue. How come if Atma is Nitya Shuddha, I take it like this? That's because you don't see it as it is. Then why I don't see it? Because you are ignorant. Why I am ignorant? Because you are not enlightened. Why I am not enlightened? Because you are ignorant. What is this answer now? What is this question? You tell me. What is this question? So this is called yakshana rupo balihina. So yatha yaksha, according to that fellow Bali, there's a devata is there. Particular devata has got particular offering. That's a particular adage. According to your question is the answer. Because funny questions should be answered funnily. Funny questions should be answered funnily. Ridiculous logic should be met with more ridiculous logic. And that is what we call jalpa. Therefore send the fellow back to himself to work, to do some homework and come back. And this is one type of argument. Okay? So we have different types of arguments. And all these are used in Vedanta to make people think. So it's purely not knowing. That's not a sin. Not knowing is not a sin. Yathaiva dvivita rajjuhu jnaninaha ajnanihanyaha anisham. Always. Anisham means always. Day and night. There is no night, there is no day for this. Mistake means one's committed mistake is always mistake until it is corrected. Therefore, for a jnani, it is always rope. And one who doesn't see the rope, it is something else. Need not be snake all the time, something else. Generally, these also, even snake can be mistaken for rope. And therefore, it's not that always rope should be mistaken for snake. But the idea is, we have fear. We have fear of snake. And therefore, you just go into the garden and then saying there may be snake. Then you see the snake. That particular orientation and mindset makes you commit a mistake. Because already you are prejudiced. Therefore, with the prejudice, don't look at anything. That's what you get. That's why rope snake. Another thing, the pravritti, it creates a nivritti. You want to run away from a thing that doesn't require for you to run away. Therefore, your activity, that's why rope snake. See, a harmless thing is looked upon, is going to get me. And then a valueless thing is looked upon as of value. Then it makes you go after it. Therefore, either we have pravritti or nivritti. Pravritti is pursuit. And therefore the shell silver, two examples are given. Shell silver, because it evokes pravritti, you go after the silver. Afterwards the shell. And then the other thing is, you run away from something without any reason. Because what is there is rope, you need not run away from it. Here you need not go after it. Therefore, these two examples are given to prove the point. There need not be a reason for you to go after. A perception, a wrong perception is enough. A wrong perception is enough. And there is a wrong perception is good enough to run away from also, to go after also. And the whole, your life is pravritti and nivritti. Either you pursue or you withdraw. You run away from, you resist from, desist from. So both depend upon your perception. Therefore, there need not be a real problem. You can be after things that are misperceived. So that's means Atma is mistaken means all kinds of perceptions. And that's why two examples are given. But here, for a jnani, for one who knows, there is only rope. For one who doesn't know, anything but rope. Because there is a thing. The thing has to be taken for something. Therefore, you will commit a mistake. So it is due to ajnanat. All right, ignorance goes away. My Atma ignorance goes away. Atma Satchidananda. But still I have to deal with the world. And the world is different from me. And therefore they have got burden, meaning means I have to deal with. Now he tells, hey, if you know Atma, then it will not, there is no such thing anatma. Atma, anatma iti, this anatma is mithya. Therefore anatma is Atma. Atma is not anatma. This is, if you make a division, that is ignorance now with a little more scholarly way, it continues to exist. So more scholarly, but call it, this is the ignorance of an informed man. The ignorance of an uninformed man, this is the ignorance of an informed person. Now we can use all these words. Atma, Anatma. It's after dinner. You can use all this. And somebody said to me, what do you do? Oh, these days I'm studying Gita. Yeah. You know, it's very interesting. It's very interesting. I also looked into that. It's very interesting. Yeah. Oh, this Atma, Anatma, it's all very nice. Atma is one thing, Anatma is quite another. And therefore, we have to understand Anatma. Anatma we have to negate, and Atma is very difficult. But of course I know. You know. So clang. After a minute. Amba. Therefore here he says that, how humbug it is. Yathaiva mṛdmayah kumbhaha tadvad dehopi chinmayah atmanatma vibhagoyam mudhaiva kriyate budaihi. Kumbha, a jar, a pot. Kumbha. even though it is specially pointed out by a particular word, like kumbha. But then, when you see the kumbha, and you see the mṛd also, the clay also you see. Mṛd vikara, it is only a particular form of clay. Kumbha yathā mṛṇmayaha. A pot is nothing but mṛṇmaya. It is mṛd vikara, a particular form of clay. So when you see clay, there is a particular form of clay, and that form you call it pot, kumbha. Therefore, yathaiva mṛṇmayaha kumbha. Tadvat, so too, the kumbha is mṛd vikara, a form of clay. Dehopi chinmayaha. It is also chit. Chinmayaha means chit vikaraha. As though it's a vikara, there is no real vikara. But it doesn't exist if you take the body and then at any small little thing, that micro objects that are there, and every one of them chinmayaha, chit vikaraha. Because you have got a word special. You say it is a cell. It's a DNA. So that is chit. And all the way it is chit. And therefore liver is chit, kidney is chit, the gland is chit, any gland, brain is chit. Every cell of brain is chit. Dehaha chinmayaha. The whole body is chinmaya. And which is limitless. Therefore, when you see that, you need not go away from the body to know Atma. The whole body itself chinmayaha. We will contemplate on all this. The body itself chinmayaha. And outside the body, there is no outside chit. There can be outside body, but outside body also chinmayaha. Dehoham chinmayaha. Like ghaṭoyam mṛṇmayaha. This pot is nothing but mṛd, clay. And this body is nothing but chit, chinmayaha. Then, what about this Atma, Anatma? Self and not self. What is not self? When I say self and not self, so you will think there is one not self and there is self. One exists without the other. If it is there is anatma and atma, you can say. If one exists without the other, you can say atma and atma both independently existing, like the table and chair. Even though they go together, table, chair. But there is no rule. So the cup and saucer go together. But there is no rule. So there is no rule, cup and saucers. Without saucer also cup can come. And therefore there is no rule, the cup and saucer. And so, suppose one fellow has got only one leg. Even shoe, only one shoe. And the other one he has got something else. And therefore, there is no question of going together. These things generally go together. Cup and saucer go together. And your French fry and ketchup go together. But you can always, as an American, cut the ketchup out. So you can get only French fry. Yeah. Cut the French out. Simple fry. And then so you can ask something, you can cut it out, So you can cut things out. But here it's not possible. It's not possible. Anatma is, without Atma doesn't exist. Anatma is Atma. B is A, I have been telling you. And A is not B. Therefore, what is this difference you are making? This is sentient and insentient. There is no such thing. Therefore, this Atma Anatma Vibhagoyam, this difference it doesn't serve any purpose. Mudha means it only causes problems. Therefore, we need to understand it properly. You can use the word Anatma, but you should know Anatma is Atma. Then why do you say Anatma? Because Atma is not whatever that is called Anatma. Therefore, we use the two words. And if that is not understood, it is purposeless division. He says, if that is not understood, it's a purposeless division, and therefore, Buddhaeva kriyate buddhaihi. The Buddha here is, so these arguing people, Buddhaeva kriyate, these arguing people, and who seem to be informed, and who have got some knowledge, but then they are all founders of schools of thought. Schools of thought. Wrong logic, wrong thinking, Atma Anatma iti. Divisions. The Sankhya and others do that. And therefore, Mudhayeva kriyate buddhaihi. By these learned people, without any purpose, they do this without understanding what it is all about. Om Purnamadav